Today's video has been very kindly sponsored by Skillshare. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Hello.
If you're new here, then hi, I'm Monisha.
I'm Dean.
Those of you who are new here, Dean and I have been married for almost 2 years now. Time really flies by very quickly. This is going to be called Too Much Talk podcast. We were supposed to start this a year back, and we had scripted it, and we were like, oh, we're going to have these episodes come out in the next few months, and for so many various reasons, it just fell through. It never really happened.
But we've recorded something. Maybe you want to show that to them?
Then we actually put it up on Apple. We never really heard it after that. Too Much Talk podcast. Latest episode is not really out. The teaser went up on 7th of February. But this is how it goes.
Hey guys, welcome to our brand new podcast, Too Much Talk. I am Dean. I'm a freelance graphic designer. And sitting here with me is my lovely wife.
Hey guys, I'm Monisha and I'm a doctor by profession. We are both originally from India.
Actually, I was born and raised in Kuwait.
Aren't you originally from Goa?
Babe, I'm from Bombay.
You mean Mumbai?
Let's just save the drama for the future podcasts.
Alright. So in a nutshell, this podcast is going to be about our years growing up in the 90s, our childhood, our careers, how we met, that one big ugly breakup, our interreligion marriage, living together, moving to a new country, traveling and experiencing new culture.
Basically, too much talk.
You guys get the drift, right? It's going to be more of us chatting with you all as friends and sharing our stories. Also discussing subjects that we are really passionate about. We hope you are as excited as we are for this new journey.
We'll be putting out a new podcast every now and then. Hope you enjoy the ride with us.
This is something very new to us, so bear with us as we figure out the podcast world. Should we reveal the first episode?
Why not? In our first episode, we talk about our respective careers, how it affected our relationship, and how we maintain a balance at home.
Can't wait for the big reveal. See you in the first episode of Too Much Talk. Big hug, big love from both of us. Take care, bye. Yeah, and that was very well put together, but you can see very rehearsed and with a proper script and everything. So today is going to be not rehearsed. We do have questions and everything. Basically, let me just introduce you to Too Much Talk podcast, which is two of us sharing about our journeys, our struggles, our losses, and our own stories.
Right.
So it's our own take on life. And as you can very well see, it's quite festive and Christmassy over here. In the spirit of love and Christmas and spreading joy, we thought our first episode should be on love and interreligion marriage, hot topic, and celebrating each other's cultures and religions and everything around that. We do have a bunch of questions that everybody sent in on my Instagram page, so we're going to be addressing as many questions as possible. The episodes are going to have a little bit of a twist where we're going to do some kind of activity while chatting away. We could do something around, decorating Christmas cookies, camper gingerbread van. Alright, so got my cup of tea.
Some coffee.
Let's begin the video. This is something I really wanted to ask you. And this is something that I think our friends also ask us when they meet us.
Okay.
And the question is, what is the one thing that really surprised you about marriage?
Main thing that surprised me would be maybe that nothing really changed. I know this whole thing of once you get married, suddenly people start behaving differently, or you have certain expectations from the other person, or suddenly the girlfriend's role transition to a wife's role and boyfriend's role transition to a husband's role. Things change, the dynamics change. I didn't really get that. I didn't really understand that, because for us everything felt the same. Even till now you keep asking me I don't feel like we are married, we are still boyfriend and girlfriend or something. So I think that is maybe the main thing which surprised me, that nothing really changes. If you're super genuine with the person and you know them in and out.
Yeah, I think what stuck with me is what you said, that I keep asking this question. I feel like we are still not married.
Yeah.
I feel like we are boyfriend, girlfriend, living in and having fun and figuring out life. I don't know when people ask us that, how is life after marriage? I'm it's the same it was.
Okay, since you threw a question to me, did you have any expectations from me as a husband? Something different that I would have to deliver or provide to you compared to a boyfriend or a partner?
Yes and a no. Yes, for the bit that I expected us to have a partnership and a 50-50 balance. And no to the bit where I didn't want the stereotyped expectations, oh, the man is the bread earner and the woman is the caregiver or like roles can't be reversed or roles can't be, you know, equally divided.
Right.
So I was like, you can't expect me to come home from like a full day's work or an on-call and do the cooking or cleaning of the house, because that's what a woman does.
Right.
We're from India, we're from the Indian subcontinent, so obviously these roles are quite stereotyped for generations. So I was like, you can't expect me to do that. But we never had this conversation, but it was there in my head, but not really at the point that I'm worried and I need to have this talk with Dean or something. But I was like, I hope it's not that way. But at that point we were really worried about just signing papers because of the pandemic, so I wasn't thinking of it. Maybe if things were relaxed and chill, we would have had a conversation about what marriage should be or everything. But yeah, obviously, like, if you ask me this question now, I hope that things wouldn't be stereotyped once after marriage. People were asking is that, how did you tell your parents and what was their reaction? So you begin first.
My sisters and friends already knew about Mona because I was the first of all posting left, right and center online. My sisters knew. Mona met all of them, spent time with them. Even I'd called her for my sister's wedding as well as my +1. But it came to a point where I decided that it was just high time to just tell my dad. I just let him know because I knew in my mind that Mona was the one for me and she's going to be my wife in the future, and told him on message, and then he said, okay, cool, let's chat. I went to Bombay. We literally had to sit down, just told him all about her and told her that she was Hindu. I didn't get any backlash, I didn't get any friction, and in my head it was just basically me telling him all about you, not more of asking for permission or anything like that, because I sort of made up my mind about Mona already.
So basically all my friends knew, my cousins knew, my sister knew, my uncle knew, basically my mom's brother knew, my mom's sister knew, so they all knew from very many years. With regards to, let me just speak about my dad, because it'll be a short story, because he didn't really know Dean. I don't think he ever knew I dated. I think the only time I had this conversation with him was, you know, when I was applying for the UK visa, PLAB visa, tourist visa, and we had gone to apply for the visa, and after that we went to watch Wonder Woman. I remember that was my last movie with my dad. I went to watch Wonder Woman, me, my sister and my dad. Lona, if you're watching this, you remember this conversation. So we were sitting in Hard Rock Cafe and it was happy hour and we were chatting. I was a little tipsy and the topic went from one thing to the other, and I mentioned about dating and all this, and I said that, oh, you know what, I will never ever tell mom and you about who I'm dating or who I'm with, because by any chance you guys don't support it, I will be like, oh my freaking lord, I'll have like a lot of pressure, and I have already a lot of pressure with regards to career and other things. So I want to be like really well settled in my career, know where it's headed to, and then I'll be like, oh, by the way, this is the guy, whether you accept it or not. And my dad's reaction to that was, so Mona, happy hour is going to end, what are you going to order next? I was like, oh my god, I've just had like the one time, like one-on-one conversation about like dating and relationship. Anyway, so that was probably the end of the conversation there.
Do you think your dad reacted that way because
he was uncomfortable?
No, not uncomfortable, quite the opposite. It was maybe a sign that he trusted you in that thing, and it's not something which really needed his attention, because he like, you would know best who you want to spend the rest of your life with, and if you know that, then I know that, because I felt that sync with you and your dad were quite on the same level.
So mom, I told her in 2017. By then I knew where my career was headed. I'm waiting for my PLAB results or something like that, and I told her, oh my god, the funniest reaction. So she's like, oh, is he the guy who's really short and in your picture standing behind? I was like, mom, he's not short. She's like, oh, why is he always like at the back and he looks tiny? I'm like, mom, because he's really tall, so him to fit in the frame he has to bend. She never really had any issues with the religion. That was never really raised.
No.
She kind of said something like, oh, if dad gets to know, how will he react? But I was least bothered. I'm like, I think I and my dad had a very different relationship. I was really not worried telling dad. I was more concerned with mom. She was more worried about his job and career. She didn't understand the concept of freelancing. First of all, she didn't understand graphic designer.
I think she was more concerned about me being a good human being and someone who Mona could trust and someone who she could trust as well. And I think that's sort of developed over time, because you did come to Ramagundam and spend some time with your family. Unfortunately, that was during the time your dad passed away. I think she had a sort of image in her head about how I was based on maybe my picture, or that time I had like too many piercings or whatever. Like when I think I did meet the whole family, that she sort of knew that I was calm guy and I was very quiet. And then again, she saw another side of me when she came and stayed with us in South End, so what, 2 years ago? That was like before we were married. So again, I don't know, she saw maybe how much I helped around at home and and not like I'm just like lazing on the couch the whole day demanding things from Mona, who would go to hospital and come back home and all that stuff.
She wasn't really concerned about the whole Christian side of it. She was really more concerned about literally everything else under the sun, because obviously she was worried that her daughter is going to marry this guy and spend the rest of her life with him, and or wants to spend the rest of her life with him. Is he a good person? Will he look after Mona and things like that? Religion did not come to play at that point.
I sort of knew that the religion wouldn't be a big deal for her was when one of the first gifts she got me was a small New Testament Bible. So I was like, that's nice. And I think she got me a keychain with a Psalms quote or something like that. That was like my thing in my head where I don't think religion would
be a problem. But religion was a problem. Before we go on to the bit where it was a problem, I think the sweetest thing that happened during the whole phase of letting our parents know, and then obviously came the proposal bit. It was so nice of Dean to ask permission from my mom, and then Kunmun Mamu, who's my mom's brother, because by then my dad had passed away, so he was kind of like a fatherly figure, he still is. And then Jolly Mausi, and so he let them know that, I'm going to propose to Mona, I hope the family is okay and everything. So that was really sweet. So talking about the religion bit, the drama started after the proposal, when the discussion of whole wedding came into play. Oh my freaking god, I'm so grateful for COVID because it really simplified things, and we just ended up doing court marriage. We haven't had a wedding yet. We still don't know. There are days when we want to wake up, we wake up and we want to have a wedding, and we see people basically having wedding pictures, and then there are days we are like, can't be bothered, we're going to save so much money for down payment of a house. So I think the main drama was with the wedding planning.
The whole, like, Christians would know this, like, you would have to do a marriage preparation course before you get married, and then to get married in a church you have to like sign the paper and all that stuff. So as far as India is concerned, you can't go to a church or get married in a church and sign those documents as husband and wife if you haven't gone through that course. I think both of us had reached a phase in our relationship in our lives where we found that sort of not very important and irrelevant. Also, it's not like we didn't want to do only the Christian things and we only wanted to do the Hindu ceremonies or whatever, but it was very calm on her family side because they were like chill with anything, and I got a lot of pressure from my family side where they were quite adamant on Mona doing that preparation course, and so there was a little bit of friction when it came to that. Also, we mutually decided that we didn't really want any sort of rituals to be part of the wedding, just something very calm, casual, just to have the people who are close to us gather in one place and bless us, and that's about it.
And have a party.
Yeah, and have a party. It was so strange because, in my head I always thought that because she came from a very strict Brahmin Hindu family that I would receive some friction doing rituals or, to have something where they would then only welcome me to the family, and my family would be super chilled about it being, very cool Christians and all that stuff. But unfortunately it was the other way around. I literally got nothing from her family. They didn't have any expectations from me. They didn't want me to only enter into a temple and then only enter into their homes or anything like that. I got a lot of friction from my own family about if we didn't involve doing this course. If we didn't do the course, it sort of meant like we are going against the church or going against our religion. Even though we are in an interreligious marriage, it's not that me being with a Hindu would mean that I'm any lesser Christian, or the other way around where it would mean her lesser of a Hindu if she's married to a Christian. So we are both strong in our faiths and we both believe in what we believe.
I mean, my perspective in it was that a third person giving me gyan about how a marriage should work or a relationship work. Are you giving like a very customized answer? You're not. You're giving a very general answer and general approach to things. I don't understand that whole side of it. Like, with no disrespect, I know it's been going on for many centuries. I really don't want to come across as some entitled. I didn't understand why am I being pressurized to do something or to prove that only then is my love valid, or only then will this relationship work, or only then will this marriage work. It made no sense for me to go so much out of the way to do all that, and especially when it's not even my own religion. And also because I wasn't expecting the same from Dean, or for Dean to go out of the way or to follow something or do something. And I made it very clear to my side of the family that we are not going to do any of this, and I don't want to put Dean in a position where he questions mentions his own religion or his own thing, so we'll just have like a chill, relaxed thing and all. And they were all on board with it. And Dean had the same conversation, but obviously it didn't go a similar way. Someone else's religion, like dictating me, telling me what to do. And I was like, I'm not very comfortable with that, especially when I haven't put someone else in that situation. So why is it that being expected of me?
So I think we need to like send a letter to the churches saying that, hey guys, nothing really changes after marriage.
Don't say we, you're going to say. I'm not involved in any of this. Please keep me out of it. Let's swiftly move on from this topic. But that was the only part where we had a lot of friction and resistance with regards to the wedding. But then COVID solved it all. So we've not had a wedding. And now I think it's too late. And everyone just wants a party now. So whenever it happens, I don't think anyone's interested in any of the rituals. And so we're just going to literally have one big party. And whenever that happens, it was again a very burning question. A lot of people asked that, how did you convince them?
Yeah, I don't really think it was about convincing parents. It was more like just informing them and just telling them who your partner is, and
this is going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Because I had never ever introduced or made my family meet any of my boyfriends. So the fact that I'm making you meet someone, that means this is it. This is a sealed deal. I think that's why they took it seriously as well, because I've never introduced any of my previous boyfriend, or I'm interested in someone. I've never discussed boys with my family. So I didn't have to convince them. I took the same approach as you, that I'm letting you know.
Yeah.
See guys, this is how they do in makeup tutorials.
Abstract. Do you think there was any pressure from either side of the family to convert after marriage? And one more question was, how did Dean's family react to you remaining Hindu?
I mean, I don't know. There's like mixed information online. Dean said that don't talk about this, but I think people should. I don't know about it, so I really want to learn. So if you guys have any information, please comment in the comment section. I read obviously contradictory information, that one place says that you cannot turn into Hindu, you can only be born a Hindu, and another place says that you can. We never ever had this conversation within ourselves about converting into another religion. Point number one. Point number two, my family was never ever interested in converting someone else to, you know, our religion. These are not the conversations we would have had. Like they were more concerned about, is he a nice guy? Is he gonna, like, you know, fit in, and are you both comfortable and things like that. So this wasn't part of the conversation at all of conversion from my side of the family. For the second bit, where like, how does Dean's family feel about me remaining Hindu? I have never had a one-on-one conversation with any of his family members where they have asked me if I'm going to remain Hindu, if I'm going to convert or anything.
I've never got any communication or even a slight hint that I would have to convert to Christianity to be with me or anything like that. I think the only thing my dad had wanted you to convert was your last name. How did you handle that?
I was saying the story to actually Laura and Joita went for dinner the other day. Obviously he was joking. I'm a little sensitive about these things because I feel like I'm my own individual person and I don't need to live in someone else's shadow. So when I met him for the first time and he said something like, oh, so after marriage is your surname going to remain Mishra? And I joked saying that, oh, it will change if Dean changes his surname to Mishra. It was a joke, but obviously my mom was also meeting his dad. My mom was like really pissed off with me. Gave me like really a lot of grief later on. I mean, I'm a little sassy that way. I think he knows by now I'm a little sassy. Yeah, I think that, you know, these are quite like patriarchal things, and I think I should be taking a stand when and where I can. So I feel very strongly about it.
It never even crossed my mind. It's just inconvenient, man. Like, how many documents you got to change?
I was thinking of exactly the same thing. I'm like, oh my god, like my passport, all my documents, I can't deal with that shit. Okay, a lot of questions were asked about having kids and what the kids' religion would be and what their surname would be and stuff like that. Basically everything around kids. I just want to say, and then you can chip in, if we were to have the kids, the kid would obviously be in my uterus, right? So I can speak saying that I don't want to have kids, and then you can say what you want to say.
That's all you had to say.
No, because I mean, for the first time we've got Dean here and people keep saying that, oh, maybe you don't want to have kids and maybe Dean wants to have kids. So I'm just like, let me say my bit that I don't want to have kids, and then you can speak for yourself.
I have a uterus and I don't want kids. I'm just acting like you. I'm saying I have a uterus and I don't want kids. That would make a nice t-shirt. So I wouldn't want kids as well. Obviously we had a discussion about it and there was no argument on that as well. We just mutually decided that if we needed any more extra love in our lives and we felt something was missing, it would definitely be a German Shepherd and a Golden Retriever and maybe a Husky. But kids was never something that we had a debate about or someone felt positive or negatively about it. As far as names were concerned, that never crossed our mind. Every other day we just keep coming up with puppy names.
Okay, jokes aside, obviously I'm not just saying that I don't want to have kids, we don't want to have kids, because this was a conversation which we had even years before we got married. Like early when we were dating, we bonded over that we don't want to have kids. It's fine. Like if it's okay for people to say that, oh, we're married and we're trying for kids, we love kids, why is it not okay to say we don't want to have kids? And because this question came up yesterday and then we were having discussions, so say, because that's the question people are saying, hypothetically, if you were to have children, because yesterday was the first time where we spoke about if what would we name them, like basically the surname, and we were like, well, they will not have a surname, but obviously we know on passport you need a surname, so they'll probably have a name and a middle name that could basically serve the purpose of having a surname.
Or they could just have like one name, like Madonna.
I'm sure Madonna has
or
a surname.
Adele.
Adele has a surname.
Or Oprah.
Winfrey. I was just like, who are you? Who else? I can't think of. I was thinking of Beyonce, but then she has a surname. Knowles. Yeah. I don't know people with only first name. Tabu.
I'm pretty sure she has a surname.
I've gone Desi now. Basically, we were like, for legal document purposes, they'll have like a middle name which could serve the purpose of a surname.
I think as far as religion is concerned, so I think the most normal route for anyone to go along with is you educate the child on both religions. You share how much you can on what you've learned growing up, and you can only impart that knowledge that you have to the child. And when they come of age, they can make a decision whether they want to follow Christianity or want to follow Hinduism. But actually, it's not even really about question of what do you want to follow or which path do you want to follow. Why not just enjoy both religions? Because we know friends and we know people who have parents of different religions and they get to enjoy both the rituals and the ceremonies and the festivals of both the religions. So it's such a beautiful thing where a child gets an opportunity to be exposed to both of these. I mean, for all you know, the child may turn out atheist. Maybe they wouldn't want to believe God. Maybe they would choose their own path. So you can't decide who or what religion or what faith a person needs to follow. And I think that's only fair to them to make their own decisions.
If I may chip in, and it's not just about religion, it's even about gender. These are things which should be talked about and open. You can bring up someone in whatever way you want to, like in one very rigid religion as well, but if they want to grow up to be someone else, then they should. And if hypothetically we were to have these hypothetical children, I think they would grow up with both the religions and many more religions, and then they can decide if they want it, they don't want it, what do they want to do in their life. Everybody is an individual person and you shouldn't dictate that, oh, this is correct, that is wrong, this is better, that's not. There was another question about someone asked, because we also come from very different cultural backgrounds and different parts of the country. How did you find Odisha? This was the first time you went to Odisha.
Right.
And so just how did you find Odisha?
I loved it. It was just fascinating because one of the first things I told Mona and her family is that it reminds me, and like Bhubaneswar reminds me of Goa. Like, you know, you see bits and pieces here and there which you feel like, you know, you've experienced somewhere else, and it was like just brilliant. I had an amazing experience. And if you are from Odisha, comment down below.
Comment with an Odia word.
Yeah,
there you go.
With an Odia. Okay,
I didn't want to dampen your expectation or something. My grandparents, my mom, they all live in Bhubaneswar. It's the capital of a city, but it's not really like capital of any other city. So obviously there's a lot of development that needs to happen. But then having said that, Odisha is one state which is always like hit by so many of these natural disasters. So every time they pick, you know, the pieces together, something else happens. So someone who's like lived their life in Kuwait and in Mumbai, so I just wanted you to have very low expectations. I'm glad you like that. Oh my god, guys, just check this out. Obviously this one's a little bit of a disaster, but this one's really nice and pretty.
Correct, man.
Talking about creativity and artistic side of things, today's video has been very kindly sponsored by Skillshare. If you're someone who wants to develop creative skills or tickle your creative side, then Skillshare is one place you should definitely check out. Skillshare is an online community which covers thousands of inspiring classes. They cover a whole range of topics from videography, photography, illustration, freelancing, and so much more. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, Skillshare is one place you can count on to learn something new or to sharpen your established skill set. They have classes to fit in your schedule and skill level. Members get unlimited access to thousands of inspiring classes with hands-on projects and feedback from a community of millions. experience. Personally, when I started to learn video editing on Final Cut Pro, Skillshare was the one place which I definitely reached out to, and I learned so much of my video editing skills from Skillshare. One of the many things I love about Skillshare is that it's curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. I have uploaded a class of mine on Skillshare about NHS jobs profile, sharing my entire portfolio from 2018 when I was applying for my first job in the UK. I know so many of you watching this video are international medical graduates, and trust me, you would definitely benefit watching that lesson on Skillshare. So I'm going to leave a link down below in my description box. By watching that class, you will learn about how to fill in the details in the various sections on NHS jobs profile, how to maximize on your capabilities by listing down things you didn't think were important, and numerous secret tips on how to increase job searches and advices on how to increase your chances of being offered a job interview. So if you want to enjoy the benefits of this, I'm going to leave a link down below in my description box. So the first 1,000 subscribers of mine to click the link in the description box are going to get a free 1-month subscription. So if you want to go tickle your creative side, go to Skillshare and click down below in the description box. And now let's get back into the video. Alright, so now we're in the second part of the video, and let's replace this and let's have some wine and
Yes,
cheese.
let's switch it up.
If you're interested, let's switch it up. Heading into the second half of the video with building the house. So someone's asked a question. Are you two very religious? Like not just believing in God, but following all rituals?
I was religious, but unfortunately at that time I felt I was quite narrow-minded. It happened quite some time ago where it was Dashera.
Yeah.
Mona wanted to go to the temple. She told me to accompany her, and at that moment in my mind, I felt that, I wanted to be part of that, but I told her that I would come and accompany you, but I wouldn't enter the temple. If you're a Christian, you know that, one of the 10 commandments is you do not worship other idols and other gods. That event sort of opened up a discussion between us where we shouldn't have this mentality of your religion is superior in a certain way. You should look down on other religions and not take part. And it doesn't make me less of a Christian if I enter into another religious house or religious place of worship. That incident sort of opened my mind up. So I think from that day, I'm way more open-minded now.
Yeah, we both
reached a stage where we are sort of spiritual in a way. I can only speak for myself and say that I'm not very into the rituals. We still make God and prayer part of our day every day. We pray together before we eat meals. Before we sleep, we pray together. Before we step out of the house, or we have any important meeting, or we're traveling, we always pray, and we never forget to include God.
With regards to rituals and all, I'll probably do it if it's out of respect for the elder person in the family. I wouldn't have an argument with them. Sometimes things don't make sense to me, and I just still do it because respect for my parents and my grandparents and elder people in the family. I'll just do it. I think I was brought up in a very different way to you were. I grew up with a lot of religions around me, so we went to churches, we went to gurudwaras, and we went to Jewish synagogues and things like that whenever we traveled. And my dad is always excited to learn about what's going on, talk to the tourist guide and teach me about it. And also I went to a convent school, so I knew all Christmas carols. When I met Dean, I was singing all these songs, and Dean was like, how do you know the lyrics to these songs? So I am quite different in that way.
My upbringing was completely different to hers. I was never really exposed to the learnings or teachings or stories of other religions.
Yeah.
It was just me going to catechism, if anyone knows catechism, Sunday school. Again, I was never really exposed. I didn't have any adults or anyone around me who could share or enlighten me on other religions and other beliefs. I really do have a massive respect for other religions as well, and it was actually quite exciting for me to learn about Hinduism and all the stories. It was very fascinating. Even her mom, whenever they have festivals, she keeps sharing information or telling me stuff about the religion and the whole sort of mythology.
With regards to the rituals, I would do the rituals out of respect for people. It's just that everybody is a different individual. What suits you and what works best for you, and it's fine. You don't have to justify and clarify. I'm more spiritual than Dean as well. I have forced him into saying a prayer before going to sleep. With the saying a prayer before a meal is something I've learned from Dean. He used to say a prayer before we used to have a meal when we started dating, and I was like, oh, that's really nice that you're thankful for a plate of food in front of you.
Another person asked, did you feel overwhelmed by the differences in each other's cultures?
I did not feel overwhelmed by differences. I kind of get like excited.
Again, it was so fascinating and exciting to learn about the other religious cultures. I keep bringing this back up, but sad that I never really got the opportunity or the chance for anyone to share these things with me while growing up. If you're a Hindu, you're a Christian, a Muslim, whatever religion you follow, is to open up a dialogue, conversation with your friends of other religions. I mean, it's just nice sharing and knowing these things.
Okay, so the last question is, because a lot of you have kind of related to the situation we are in, were in, and I said that you are also in a similar situation. You are receiving some resistance from your family. Basically, people just wanted to know what's your advice or how to deal with it or what to do.
So I just think there needs to be great sync and understanding between you and your partner. You would both know when is the right time to mention it to your parents. Luckily, we didn't have to convince that. We knew that we would be there for each other no matter what.
I think with regards to advice, I think everyone's situation is very different from ours and yours from someone else's. So there cannot be one generalized advice I can give people. Like Dean said, I think you need to be in sync with your partner and you both need to be on the same page basically. Like you need to have this discussion well in advance that say option A, if parents agree, what's going to happen next? Because the next comes the question of having the wedding and how are you going to manage the wedding of inter-religion marriage. Option B is if they say no, are we still going to go forward with it or are we going to part ways? Like you both need to be on the same page. Like one can't say that, oh, we're going to keep pursuing or like trying to convince them for months and years, and the other can be like, oh, just like forget it and let's just do what we want to do. Like you both need to be on the same page, whatever it is. If you want to keep trying for years, both of you need to agree on that. If you want to just go your own way and not agree with the families, then you need to be on the same page with regards to that. So I think basically you need to have these conversations with your partner well in advance, because you don't want to be in a situation where one person says something, the other person says something, and it just causes friction between you and your partner. And the last thing you want amidst all that stress is friction between you and your partner, because you both need to at least be together. And Indian families can be a little complex to figure out and to make them see and understand things. Sometimes when you look back on these things, you kind of laugh. In that situation, it can be very stressful. So yeah, I wish you all the very best and I hope it, works out. So we reached towards the end of this video and I hope you enjoyed this kind of relaxed Saturday brunch thing where we started with tea and coffee and I've ended up with a nice glass of port wine.
I hope we've done justice to all the questions.
I hope we've addressed as many questions as possible, and I'm sorry in advance if we've offended any religions or any people. That wasn't the intention at all. We were just speaking from our own personal experiences and what our thoughts are. Obviously, we are really young and we might make mistakes and say things which are out of line. So if that's the case, please correct us. I hope you've enjoyed this fun afternoon kind of thing. Yeah, that's the end. So how did you like Dean coming on the channel back again?
I loved it. If you're a new subscriber or if you're just new and you just bumped into this video and you haven't subscribed, support this girl's channel. She puts a lot of effort. She's up till 2-3 a.m. editing and uploading these videos. So yeah, support her and she's doing some amazing work.
I think people are pressurized now.
Thanks. Have an amazing day. Respect everyone. Respect all religions. Love one another and stay safe and get vaccinated if you can.
Where is this outro going to? I just wanted to say that Dean will be coming back on the channel hopefully once every month to film more Too Much Talk podcast episodes. So we're going to end this video here. If you enjoy this video, you know the drill. Give it a big thumbs up and yeah, drop down in the comment section any other questions you have. I hope you're keeping safe, looking after yourself and your loved ones, and we'll both see you in the next episode 2, but you'll see me next week in another video.
And before we end, last thing I want to say, in the spirit of Christmas, in the spirit of happiness, giving and sharing, whenever you guys watch this amazing Christmas season, holiday season, and I hope you have a good one and just have a very good old time with some wine.
Yay! Maybe. Or with tea, whatever you fancy. Bye.
Bye.
Mwah. Mwah. Oh,
too far. Camera's too far.
Too far? Let me go. Bye. Mwah.